Let's talk about handheld gaming. It's kind of in at the moment thanks to the recent release of Valve's coveted Steam Deck. It seems like everyone is making a handheld, but what if I told you that you could enjoy an incredible handheld gaming experience and you didn't have to shell out for a new console? Hey guys, I'm Ryan Thomas, and this is how you can enjoy some of the best handheld gaming experiences with a thing that's already in your pocket. Quick disclaimer, I am not sponsored in any way in this video by anyone at all. No one has paid me to say anything nice about their products. The one thing that has happened is Backbone sent out their One, which is this little controller thing that I will be focusing on in this video. It's not necessarily a review, it's just something that I wanted to incorporate into the content. I asked them, they said yes, so they didn't approach me or anything. It's nothing is, you get the picture. Also, I'm making a video based on the iPhone, but you can also use a lot of this software on tablets and Android devices as well, so don't feel locked out. Speaking of Backbone, let's talk about this cool controller accessory that I'll be using in today's video. Now, you can use whichever one you like, and there's the Razer Kishi, looks pretty cool as well, also available for Android. This one in particular is quite nice because it mimics the design features of the PS5 controller. Rip my PS5 controller, it still works but it's scratched up and I don't like that. And yeah, this thing feels really high-end and premium. Anyway, yeah, this has a staggered stick setup like the Xbox controller and sports proper analog triggers, ideal for racing games and the like. It's only available for iOS at the moment, though they are developing an Android version. I will leave links to the Razer Kishi because I think that's a great Android alternative, and also available for iOS if you're into that. But the Backbone is really cool in that obviously it gives you a lightning connection to be able to charge your phone whilst playing, because you likely will need to, but also gives you a 3.5mm headphone port, which is fantastic. It means I can plug in all the IMs that I want and obviously use those for sound output because the speakers just aren't great in some experiences. Handheld controls, in my opinion, are crucial to a good gaming experience. I don't think the touchscreen controls in many games are really that good. Of course, stuff like Jetpack Joyride, for example, you're not going to have a problem with the touch controls, they're very basic. But for racing games, for shooters, and for some of the stuff we'll be coming up to in the later parts of this video, you are going to want a controller accessory of some kind. Alternatively, you can actually connect some Bluetooth controllers to iPhone and Android devices. So for the longest time, I actually just hooked up my PS4 and PS5 controllers to my iPad via Bluetooth. It's very simple. You just look up the button combination, you press the button combination, you sync it, no need for any drivers, any extra software, just works straight out of the box, which is really nice to have. There are loads of ways to game on mobile, and I'll be delving into free and paid options that harness different technologies. Timestamps for these will be in the description and available hopefully on the screen, so you should be able to click in between the ones that you specifically want to see. First up, the mobile ported games. These are titles that have been available in some capacity on full-size systems at some point, and the dev teams have made mobile versions of them. I personally like the CoD Mobile and Apex Mobile versions, as I've played quite a few of those titles on my consoles and PC in the past. They're local to the device, meaning that you download them from the Play Store or the App Store. They go straight to your device, you're not streaming, so input lag really isn't a problem. And because they're specifically designed for screens, the UI and other elements like that fit the display in ways that other methods we'll talk about later don't quite fit. They also enable touch controls if you're into that, and most of them use a freemium sort of method where the game is free but you pay for additional options, battle passes and stuff like that. PUBG Mobile is a classic, of course, and I've always really used Real Racing 3 to test a lot of smartphones. They're just really nice titles. They work well on a display of this size, they're made to be run on smartphones, there's no input delay, and you can get on with them straight away even if you don't have a controller and if you don't have any money to buy them. They're very accessible and one of the best ways to enjoy smartphone gaming. Next is a small category of games that enable cross progression, meaning that you can start playing on PC or console and then continue playing when you're out and about on your smartphone. There are a couple that come to mind, one being from my childhood, another being a very popular game at the moment. There are of course more games out there like this, but the two that I want to focus on today are Genshin Impact and OldSchool RuneScape. I've got to be honest, OldSchool RuneScape doesn't control amazingly on a touchscreen. but it does work, and it is a nice way to go and grind sort of tree cutting or any sort of level when you don't want to be doing that sat at your computer, especially in the winter months. It's not so good for doing quests and stuff where you kind of want to be more focused on the action, but for level grinding it's not bad. The other one that is huge at the moment is Genshin Impact. I know a couple of people are really into this game, and the cross progression on console and PC to mobile is a really good one. It controls surprisingly well on the touchscreen, and you will need to use that to get past the prologue. Once you get past the first little bit of the game, it will allow you to go into the settings and select an external controller. From there you can have way more fun, in my opinion. Next up is game streaming, which I've actually divided into two parts. You have your online game streaming, stuff like Xbox Cloud, NVidia's version, and RIP Google Stadia, but you also have the ability to stream from a gaming PC or laptop that you already have in your house. Oh, and did I forget the PlayStation 4 and 5 as well. But before we get onto those, let's talk about the online experience. These in the short term provide better value. You don't have to go out and buy a PS5 or a PC or anything like that. You just pay a monthly subscription and you play games that are being driven over the cloud. So there are servers that have these RTX graphics cards and drive the games, and then that stuff is sent through the internet to your device. This means you have to have a pretty good network connection and internet connection at that. It means that there's input delay from the server to your router, and then from your router to your smartphone. It's not the prettiest, and unless you have a really good connection, it's not the best experience. However, it is fairly accessible, meaning that you only have to pay a couple of pounds each month, and you do get access to a large library of games. RIP Google Stadia, you weren't very good. Sorry. But the other services from Microsoft and NVIDIA are pretty good services. What I want to focus on today is the in-home streaming. This is something that I think a lot of people overlook because, well, I don't think they're marketed very well. You have two options. You have remote play on the PS4 and PS5. This is something that I've used recently to EA Access or EA Play Early Access sort of demo titles. So I was really into FIFA 22. I played a bit of FIFA 23 on the EA Play on my mobile phone with the Backbone installed. It runs incredibly well. It feels like it was made for it, and maybe that's due to the Backbone being the PlayStation version because you get the X, square, triangle and circle instead of the ABXY. But stuff like that, it makes it feel more like it should be like that. I don't know how to explain that. It makes it feel like it's integral to the experience. This is totally free. All you need to do is download the app on your phone and then stream it from your console. You'll stream the games that you own, obviously. You can't just go and stream whichever games you want. But it does work really well as long as you have a good internal network connection. Now this is something that I think trips up a lot of people because internal networks are generally a lot quicker than the internet connections that come to your house. Meaning that most people have, a few hundred megabit per second connections to their router to start with, and that doesn't need to be, a crazy gaming router or anything like that. It's just the included multifunction network device that will come with your internet package. It does help to have an access point on the same floor that you're on, but it's not actually that bad if you're just using a general purpose unit. And I've been using, honestly, the Steam Link app. I will be making a separate video on this, I think, because it's just that good. This essentially will turn your smartphone into a bit of a Steam Deck. Now sure, it can't run native games like the Steam Deck can, but what it does do is stream the games if you have a gaming PC to your phone. I found this to work incredibly well, whether I'm playing SnowRunner or I'm playing Doom or any kind of game that doesn't necessarily require super high sort of, I wouldn't play any kind of CSGO on this or Apex Legends because it's a bit too competitive and the input delay is just a little bit not good enough in my opinion. Also, it doesn't help those games that really require a mouse and keyboard to play. But for more casual games, maybe some smaller racing games, I've been playing Forza Horizon on here, that's been working really well. It just makes the experience that much nicer if you don't have a Steam Deck. And it's totally free. This is one of the most underrated apps that I've ever seen. Works really well with the Backbone, and I'm sure it works really well with the Razer Kishi as well. I'd quickly like to touch on emulation. This is something that many smartphones will be able to do. They're just powerful enough, and you can emulate sort of PS1, PS2 era games down to the N64, down to the NES and SNES. However, I'm not sure it's totally legal, and it's not something that I have done on the iPhone. The main reason for this is that the apps that you might use to emulate games, they just aren't available in the App Store anymore, and you have to use sort of browser add-ons and stuff, which work absolutely fine. I'm not saying they're scams or anything like that, but it just doesn't make for a particularly polished experience in the same way that using an emulator on a PC or a Steam Deck or anything like that does. So just want to make you fully aware that it's available, but it's not something that I've done. And that pretty much concludes our setup for mobile gaming. The smartphones that we have in our pockets these days are more powerful than ever, with better screens than ever, with more storage than ever, and we're able to take advantage of that to create a mobile gaming experience that, let's be honest, compared to the PSPs and the Nintendo DSs and the Game Boys that I grew up with, really trump those in more ways than one. Better speakers, better screens, better AI, interactivity with the AR cameras and microphones. Everything is so much better than those original devices, but obviously we can't help but go back and reminisce on those good times. I will leave links to everything that I've mentioned in the video description. That's going to take a while for me to do, but don't worry about it. I will get through with all of the applications, with all of the hardware and software and stuff like that. For now though, what I'm going to do is leave this video. By all means, let me know in the comments how you've utilized your gaming smartphones. Have some of you gone out and bought full-fledged, ROG or Razer phones, or are you rocking iPhones or even lower-end Samsungs or anything like that? I'm not calling Samsungs low-end, by the way, but they do like the A series, and yeah. As always, links will be in the video description to everything I mentioned in this video, Patreon links and everything. I want to give a massive shout out to my patrons for being continually supportive. Check out my podcast if you haven't already. It's a pretty good one. So yeah, do check that out. Anyway, I've been Ryan Thomas, and I'll catch you later. Peace.